Okay, so here's an example of the rigging. Hope you can see it in here. That's just, I've rigged a bunch of stuff, flying wires, landing wires, but I still have some stuff left. And so I'm going to try to show you how I rig. First thing I do is I use some dividers and I take the approximate distance, usually a little less than what it shows because you're going to stretch. So I use some kind of elastic line, a blade. You cut your stuff to the right length by measuring out with the dividers. Very self-explanatory, very easy to do. I have a good video basically on my little site somewhere that has a better video on how to rig things in general. But anyway, I use thick super glue to anchor, and I use zip kicker to hone it in. Nice pair of tweezers, and grab the little end. In this case, I stick that tip into a little pile of glue that's over on the side. So I dip that in there, just get a little bit on the end, and then I choose a part on the wing that, or wherever it is, that needs to be done, but I choose the part that's the most obvious that you'll see because I can place this very carefully. Like underneath, if you make a mistake, it might not be as obvious. But here, if you mess up, it's bad news. So I prefer to just kind of add it there. It will dry almost instantaneously. And I turn the whole thing over and let the piece of elastic droop. Take my zip kicker, and I just put a dab right there on the end. Then I take a little bit of glue with my bamboo skewer, put a dot of it where it's going to go, where the elastic's going to go, and then I, as quickly as possible, grab the end, and you just pull it over, and you just put it in that puddle. And with the zip kicker, it'll dry pretty dang immediately. And there you go. This is an odd angle for me to do. I hope it shows up pretty well, but that just gives you an idea. And that's how all of these are done. Some of the flying wires in this need to be doubled, but in general, here it is just kind of finished. I got anti-drag wires on there. I still got to put the aileron wires on that go between the top and bottom ailerons. But boy, these things really do have much more character when they're fully rigged. Don't be afraid to rig a model, or don't be afraid of a biplane because of rigging. It makes all the difference in the world. Now I need to put some control horns on. This is how they come. They're colored already, which is nice. Some go up on the ailerons, on the top, and on the bottom. And there's a little mark on each of these places showing you where you put the horn. And to do these, you cut out the little square that contains the outline of the horns, and you can see there's color on the other side. What we're going to do is fold these over so that you'll end up getting the control horns of the right. One side is color, but when you fold them back over that opposite part, you'll get a nice color on the other side. So you fold them vertically. So there's that beige color and the dark green color, and they're going to overlap each of the respective horns. So I take the back side of the X-Acto blade. There's the front side. If you turn it over, make sure you use that end. And all you do is you score it a couple times. Don't cut through it. Although if you did, it wouldn't matter. Just if you score it, it's easier just to fold so you don't lose any alignment. And then you just fold them over onto themselves like that. Add a little glue. Fold it. Take off a little excess because usually I'm full of that. And then I use some pressure, usually from a ruler, and squish it down tight. And there they are. And you just cut them out and add them. Very easy. And you do those to everything. So, and then these are the ones, I think these are for the, haven't cut them out yet, but these are for the ailerons. Those will be for the ailerons. And the rudder, I think. So, there's an aileron one ready to go. Cut it out, color it if necessary. In this case, those weren't because they were white anyway. Put a little dab of glue. And then you very carefully, again, this model is very well engineered, and it shows you exactly where to put these things, which is handy. And you just drop it in there gently, gingerly Hector, as my mother would tell me. And then check it, make sure it's good and solid and straight. That's really just looking for vertical. Consult your references, what it's supposed to be. And then I hit a little dab of zip kicker, bam, and it's on there to stay. So there are the bottom ones on either side. Notice too, there's other markings under there. Those are all for other parts of rigging that go. There I got the stabilizer horns on, as well as you can see the rudder. Oh, I'm pointing out that one, but you can't see it. But on the other side, this side, you can see there's the rudder horn, and they're ready to start rigging, actually. Now, the bottom wing I've rigged already, and you can see it's kind of complicated. It's got a little pulley on one end. I made that little pulley because the pictures I found show a little pulley, and that's actually where the actuation occurs. But these are double wires going out to the pulley. On the other side, they go up to the control horn as double, and then they go to the triangular edges there to hold the aileron. So there's where that little dot is where the pulley goes, and the wire goes across, and those are the pulleys. And what I found was you need to double them, the thickness. So I just punched a bunch out, just using my little hole punch, and cement them together, just to make them a little thicker, because I want a way to put the hook the little elastic thread around the pulley, so it kind of looks cool. So this is just building the pulleys, just little glue, and then you pop the little pieces together, just a little bit thicker. I colored them appropriately. You could use paint, but I happen to use a silverish Sharpie. And then I put a little dot in the center of them just to make it look like there's a structure. There's actually a whole bracket on these, but I'm not going to build it on the real one. But there's the spot where you put your pulley on the blue part of the roundel. I put a little dab of super glue, just a tiny bit. You don't need a lot. These are just paper, and they're not holding anything important. I lick my knife briefly, and then that sticks, that little pulley, and then you just put it on there until it sticks, and you're done. Now, I took a huge long piece of elastic thread, and I put some glue on the tip, and I put it on that tip aileron piece right there. And now what I'm going to do is basically hook it to the hook and glue it there, and then hook it to the pulley, glue it there, and then roll it all the way to the opposite side of the wing. So there it's kind of hooking into the middle where it's going to need to hit that white control horn. So to get it there, I check and make sure I can make it work. Oh yeah, I dotted that just to make it solid. I put a little bit of zip kicker on the horn itself. I take a little bit of glue here in a second, but now I pick up the elastic. Sadly, my finger's in the way. But all I'm doing is getting that piece of elastic so it kind of butts up against the horn on the one side. And since there's already a zip kicker in there, if I take a little tiny bit of glue and just barely tap it, which is what I do there, it's in there. I did the same thing, brought it down to the pulley. You can see it's around the pulley when my dumb hand gets out of the way, just securing it with a little bit of glue. And then I brought that other piece all the way down and did the same thing on the other side. So, not showing that, but there's our cable all the way across. It's only a single at this point. Again, I doubled them later. But it has to be anchored there. And the real airplane is a couple little loops of metal hoops that hold those wires underneath and keep them at that centerpiece. But I just use little dots of glue. I might go back and add a few things, but I put little bits of the super glue, bring the little piece of thread down, kind of push it so it's getting close to touching, and then hit it with some zip kicker. Same thing with the other side. Just kind of get it so it's there. I know it's gonna catch. Put a little more zip kicker there, hold it in place. And in this case, I didn't quite have it on the right place. So now there's zip kicker. I'll just play that same trick I did on the horn. Hold it down, dab of glue, it's on there. And so I might go back and put a couple little metal loops, but that's the aileron top piece done. Now you just got to finish putting the other little length on the aileron right there on both ailerons. And then what I went back later and did off camera is do the second piece of line. But a little bit of glue. I put it on the horn this time. And the horn's already got some zip kicker on it that isn't evaporated. So it actually glues pretty quick and easy. I'll go ahead and put a little glue on my thin elastic. And I've moved it around here because it's easier to see maybe. So I glued it, and then I noticed I rolled it, so it's glued to the horn, but I rolled it over to the side so I can put some zip kicker on it. It's away, notice, from where it's going to attach. It's going to attach right there. Because that zip kicker, if the fumes get close, it'll completely ruin your, I mean, it'll solidify your glue. So it's over there so that now I'm ready to just come in, lightly tap it, touch it into the puddle, and there she is. And so there it is all together with the second line on. Looks great.